Okay, yo, my name's Hayden, and this is my testimony. Um, I'm just gonna dive right into it. Basically, I may be a bit all over the place in terms of like my story, in terms of like chronicle order and whatnot, but I'm gonna try and give it in the most accurate way as possible. So I guess I'll start from the beginning, tell you a bit about my childhood and myself. Was brought up in. I was born in London. I was raised in Cambridge later on in my life, and I basically started my journey of spiritualism and trying to find God, so to speak, when I was about the age of 13, 14. But I was like an average kid, I suppose. I was quite naughty at school, quite rebellious, but in terms of like my background, I was brought up with single mum, just two sisters in my household. I had another brother who lived with my gran. I wasn't brought up with my father, so to speak, aspect of that. He was never around, so I was sort of always I was the youngest of the family, so I've always been the male of the house, so to speak. But although my brother lived in a different house, he never lived with me due to just like domestic nonsense, so to speak. We'll say that. Yeah, cup of tea, British and all that. But like I say, yeah. So I was about 14 when I really started diving into aspects of wanting to know what God is really, and what all the malarkey is about. So I started through what really got me into it, and actually what really made me clock onto things, I suppose, was I had a breakup of a girl, and that embarked me on the store on basically the realization that I'm not the only average Joe around, and that there's other people about and other people with emotions, and my empathy really started to grow. So obviously I felt quite down and depressed from the breakup. I know I was young, but childhood sweethearts and all the rest of it, like we've all been there. And but we sort of like split, it broke me a little bit. So I started, don't worry about that. Started going on, just basically having realization of other people, not just myself. And I started being more considerate of other people. I was like became more spiritual, so to speak, and I started meditating. I was I've got some things written down here so I don't get off too task too much, but I was like I say, I was meditating. I started smoking a lot of cannabis. I started skateboarding, just like an average sort of rebellious sort of kid. I was got in a lot of trouble in school always from a young age. I've been quite rebellious as well in the aspect of just fighting, getting kicked out, isolation. I've been like suspended many of times, loads. Just like I say, class clown. I used to enjoy making people laugh. I was never like a school bully or anything of the such. I was never like nasty or horrible to people. Not that I'm aware of. I'm sure there was times where I was, but not like vindictively, not like nasty. Though there was this one kid I used to have a lot of trouble with, but I had justified reasons for it in my head. It wasn't like just pure nastiness. It was me just sticking up for other people who'd like attacked like girls and that, and I'd stick up for them in certain aspects. Like one situation, he threw like a chair at one girl and that, and I stuck up for this girl, and it caused us to have a ruck, so to speak. But it was never like, it was never horrible. I'd like to think I was quite friendly at school with people, different groups of just like styles. Like, I don't know if you're Americans are watching this. You get like the goths, the javs, the this and that. I was sort of like somebody who dived around in everywhere. I like to be sort of like friendly with everybody, and that aspect of things. So, like I say, I started getting into spiritual teachings a lot as well, and I dived down the route of Buddhism, and I was learning about things like basically Buddhism. I was reading upon it. I didn't really start to meditate properly, but I started having out of body experiences at a very young age. My first two that I embarked on a lot was astral spinning and it's just sort of like astral projection sort of stuff, and lucid dreams. They are my first dreams that really got me into it. If you know what lucid dreaming is, look it up. It's something even now as I'm a follower of Jesus, I still think that it's okay. And if anybody objectifies against that, give me reasons and give me scripture down below, because I'm only new in this myself. So if anyone's got anything to say that I say wrong or something, please give me a shout out. You know, I'm like fairly new into all of this, so I'm learning as we all are. I'm still suckling milk, so to speak. That's what the Bible sort of portrays it as. But yeah, man. So I started going into conspiracy theories, the Illuminati as well, and that didn't really help my aspect of being rebellious against the system. The fact that I knew that we've been lied to against from a young age, our history, everything's been manipulated. There's a constructed way of things that has been the foundation. The construction of our foundation through society is basically massive parts of it is deception, and it's all we've been misled to read certain things in the schools that are wrong, and like even in World War II, like Hitler burnt a lot of history books and stuff. That's just one example, you know, to give you that our history is being constructed into a certain way for us to be manipulated in society, for us to have a certain aspect of control. And I've always knew that as a young age, and there's evidence for that which is indisputable. You know, it really is. And that's why I get into Illuminati and conspiracy theories and this and that. I started to see a lot of truths into a lot of things, like how there is Satanism out there, and I always didn't really put two and two together, think, oh, they're Satanists, they're real, God's real as well. I did, but in a sense of like, I always thought it was just like not what the Bible preached, what it was about. It was more the essence of that Buddhism, you know, we're God within us, an aspect of we're gods in a way, in our own egotistical way. It's a very egotistical way of thinking. I look at it like that now as well, because that's what a lot of Buddhists and whatnot teach, and an aspect of it as well is egotistical in itself. If you think that you're entitled for enlightenment, and you know the whole teachings of Buddhism is losing the ego and whatnot, but an aspect of it is you think you're enlightened, you think you deserve enlightenment to be able to lose your ego. But saying that, to think that you have the privilege to lose your enlightenment in the first place is egotistical in itself. So it just contradicts itself, and that's just one aspect that I've started to see through the cracks of Buddhism. And it's just a lot of nonsense in it as well, and it's quite satanic, man, when you really start to think about that opening your third eye, Kundalini experience, like awakening the serpent of the Kundalini. I'll give you one example of a lot of symbolism is used in Kundalini, which is a part of Satanism as well. One, like you start to realise as well the mark of the beast, so to speak, or not even the mark of the beast itself, but many marks of Satanism is in a lot of these religions, and you just see references, even like the monster can and stuff in Hebrew. That's 666, and it's everywhere, man. It is everywhere. Like Satan is infiltrated the church, the schools, is everywhere, man. And I knew that from a young age, and I clocked that from a very young age. But I started to really see how it's everywhere, and I started to grow into it, and I started really to see a lot of things of it. But yeah. So I started getting into the meditation aspects of things when I started leaving school. So about 16, 15, that's when I did it before, but I'd really dived into it quite deeply. You know, I was getting into Kundalini, and I had many experiences like that: meditation, chi, mantra chanting, crystals, numerology. I was getting clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience. There's many other different types as well. Like I never had any like telepathic thing or such like that, but I was receiving like spiritual powers, so to speak. But yeah, that's just one thing that started happening. That's the aspect of opening your third eye, what people don't realise, and your eye slowly starts getting tuned with a certain frequencies and all this and that, but what you don't realise you're actually tuning yourself is demonic frequencies and this and that. And when you open your third eye up to these spiritual realms, it's naive to think, and I was very naive at the time, but it's naive to think that it's all lotus flowers and it's all this and that, and everyone's there just to like give you knowledge, and it's just stuff comes at a price, man. The same as witchcraft, same as law of attraction. Like this stuff is all legitimate. I don't know if you want to agree with it or you're not. But this, mate, there's all this stuff's legitimate, man. Like, I've dived into it, I've seen the repercussions of it within myself, how it works and stuff. Stuff things comes out of price. I've had many demonic spiritual attacks throughout my time, and I'm still young, man. And I know people have done this stuff for years, so my story don't compare to nothing to what some people's does. And I'm glad I got out. You know, 14, coming on to 23 now. So I've come out of it quite early. I wasn't been in it for a massive amount of years, but so to speak, I was quite advanced in it. I was quite keyed up on a lot of knowledge. I read quite a bit of information. I was meditating for 6 hours a day sometimes. That's when I was on more extreme measures, but holding symbols, crystals, holding all that nonsense. I was quite deeply into it. I had a Kundalini awakening as well, as I mentioned earlier, but I'll explain a bit about that. When it actually happened, I felt the alignment of my chakras from the bottom. Months before it happened as well, I was getting a spinning sensation in my bottom root chakra. So that was like spinning constantly, and if it was throwing me off, I was getting a lot of spiritual attacks. So it almost felt like my spirit was shaking in and out of my body. Like when people get anxiety, it's sort of like anxiety, but like an intensified. And anxiety is is basically also like a form of a demonic attack as well. But there's like loads of things are as well. Like somebody who I'd advise looking into, which explains this sort of stuff. I sort of clocked onto it a lot anyway, but he explains it well. Somebody called who I'd advise watching and listening to his preaching and teachings. His can't remember his name now. It'll come back to me in a minute. So Prince, something Prince. But yeah, God, I don't know why I'm having a blonde moment, as you can tell. So so yeah, I carried on doing these teachings and preachings to the age of about 19, and I was, you know, heavily dived into it. But when I was at school, I was partying a lot, even from a young age. When I dived into going to college at the age of 16, I was smoking a lot of cannabis. I was taking drugs, partying a lot, going out, sleeping with girls. I was just living a disgusting, sinful life, really. And now I learn a lot about why you shouldn't have sex before marriage as well, because it's all to do with soul ties and stuff, and how you can like get their negative energies attached to you. Because that's what it is, man. When you sleep with somebody, it's literally like, it's a very spiritual thing. Your spirits entwine with each other, and it really is that. That's why when you first lose your virginity to somebody, you can't get them out of your head. It's like this thing where you have like this connection with them. That's what God made it for, man. So you have this, deep spiritual connection with your partner, so to speak. And I was naive to a lot of that, and I didn't really appreciate what it really meant, and I was just like living in ways that I shouldn't. I didn't like sleep around massive amount. I was never like, and that, but enough to know that what I was doing was wrong, even when I was doing it at the time, to say the least. And especially partying as well, going out, breaking the law. I got myself in a wrong crowd of a lot of people. I was in some groups that I should have been in, and I wasn't just smoking cannabis. Selling Class A's, dealing in big deals and stuff, thousands of pounds worth. Like, there's aspects as well. There was one night as well. I'll tell you a story that it was weird as well, because I think God sort of made this happen even back then, when I wasn't really living for Him, so to speak, as what I am now. And I try to every day. I'm being disciplined, believe me. I know I was a very rebellious kid. I didn't have that discipline. I didn't have a father figure around, like I said before, so I did what I want, sort of thing. And so saying that, I'm being disciplined now, to say the least, and I'm slowly seeing His wonders work in my life, and I'm changing as a young man, but I've still got a lot to learn, like I say. But one story that I'll say, that even when I was not living for Him, He was still living for me, so to speak. Like, He was still working in my life, even living in sin, And there was a day where I was around this house. Well, I should have been around this house. It was like a drug house, basically. I'd go around there every day. I'd buy drugs, I'd sell drugs, I'd reload basically and get everything that I needed to get. And I'd be around there with scales. I'd be around there with like digital scales, so you could weigh up drugs basically and give like distribute equal amounts of what for money or whatnot, if you don't know what that is. But so I'd be doing that. Like every other day, I'd go around there and I'd, you know, like I say, and if I was around there, that house got raided. Yeah, got raided by police. And if I was there that day, I would have probably. I'm pretty sure I would have been in prison. Yeah, the amount of stuff I would have had on me. There are firearms as well in the house. There was a shotgun in there, there was a rifle in the house. There was like just weapons, knives, enough people. Like I would have been done for their intent to supply. No, I would have been, and it was just weird that one day it happened, and it was weird as well because all the phones and everyone's phones got taken into the police stations and like texts and stuff. Like it was weird. I was worried. I was quite shook at certain points in my life because I was just like, they're gonna come on to me. I know I'm gonna get a knock on my house as well. I had police watching me at one point in my life as well because I had a certain corner that I'd work on, and I would just there was an undercover. I'd clocked the undercover and I went up to the window once and I was just like, "What are you boys doing here?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah," and I'm not gonna get into that too much, but I knew when I stopped and I knew they were watching me and stuff, and I'm still surprised to this day how I didn't get a knock on my door, man. Like really. And but to say the least, in that aspect, I thank God for that because I know that I didn't get caught in any aspect of that, and I was doing a lot of silly stuff, and it wasn't just like in my area. I was known in other areas as well. It wasn't just like a little bit. It was weird, and the groups who I was with as well were notorious for that anyway. So I still don't get. Even some of my friends now, like even they still do. I don't get how the police hasn't clocked onto some of them, but I don't know. It's just fortunate as well. I don't really know how all these things happen, but some people get nicked and you're standing right next to them and you don't. It's just like, what? Like I don't know, man. But I'm going more into my so when I started advancing more into my spiritual teachings, like I say, I was getting quite into crystals, tarot card reading, Hinduism, Taoism with chi. I was basically with the prana in the air. I was basically and can't even get my words out. Using the energy of chi basically through my body, and I do all this like yoga sort of type of stuff and all that nonsense. And I would get well hot, man. I'd be sweating with it as well. I'd be like sweat would be pouring out my face. I was doing like martial arts, nunchucks, just things like that. I got quite into that. Then I practice that, you know, almost every day. And I've got very like wanting to go all the time with somebody, just like wanting to fight and just stuff like that. And that actually progressed a lot in my life in my later teens when I was hit the 20, 21, sort of 23 mark. I got into boxing and that as well, and I loved the aspect of just fighting. And I got very aggressive. I was always gone to the gym. I was quite pumped and jacked at one point, but by jacked I don't mean like steroids. I never took drugs or anything of that aspect. It was always quite clean. But yeah, man, like I say, I was hanging around with druggies, crackheads. Literally, I'd be there. People would be smoking crack next to me. There'd be times where these people would try and loop me even deeper into like little like groups and that sometimes because I'd roll a joint, and like when I'd roll it, I'd go out of the room or something. They'd put like crack in the joint or something, and I'd come back and I'd be smoking it, and I'd be like, "You've put crack in my joint, haven't you?" And they'd be like, "Yeah." They'll all be laughing. I'd be like, you know, I've just smoked that, and now I'm sitting here like my heart going out my chest. So I never got into the aspect of smoking, wanting to smoke crack or anything. It was just like tricked into it and things like that. But they just thought it was funny. Everyone used to do it. Like never let somebody make you a cup of tea or anything because they'd put an ecstasy tablet in your drink. Like that was an aspect as well that went around for a while. It's just stupid. I'm glad I would have. Yeah. Anyway. No one ever put one in my tea, put it that way. But even though I took them at the same time, it wasn't like it wasn't an aspect of like I don't know. It was weird. I can't really explain it. It was just people thought it was funny, but I don't know. But I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, carried on getting spiritual attacks for years, man. Like really heavy spiritual attacks. I was getting nosebleeds, flashes every day. Clairvoyance at like 40 times a day. I'll be getting flashes, like just madness, like dreams of the future. I'll show you one thing. I dreamt about a car crash as well, and what I know now is the spirit of divination, what I open myself up to as well. And so I, dreamt about a car crash that I actually had. I'll just show you a little screenshot about that. And I had other dreams as well about other people as well, like what other stuff would happen to them, and thinking it would. And I started to realise there was a lot about different pathways of dreams and stuff. I'd dream about some future stuff in the future that could happen, that had like different pathways. But then I started to realise, and it started to send me a bit doolally as well, because I'd like panic and think, oh, this is going to happen now, this is definitely going to happen. Like I was going to get stabbed outside one nightclub or something. Every time I went out, I'd get like anxiety about getting stabbed. But at the same time, I still went out anyway. I was just like, even the aspects of me being aggressive and stuff, I was like, nah, that ain't going to happen. I wouldn't let somebody do that to me. Like, bring it. So I saw it at that negative male testosterone, just idiot, man, like just aspect of things, And that is slowly going. I'm slowly being disciplined. I'm slowly being more loving and caring with my family, with my mum. I'm doing stuff around the house. Like I'm gonna make another video more how I've changed as a person in part 2. Like I'm probably gonna call it like escaping the devil or something. But how much I've changed and how I've been freed from like addictions. Lustful addictions, like I say, drugs, and aspects of that. So I carried on, going through all of this for years, and I slowly wanted to basically live cleanly. And I moved house. I got away from all of this, and I came onto the part where I want to start living clean and step away from this. Like I stopped meditating because I was getting too many spiritual. It just got too much of me. It overwhelmed me and just consumed me, man. And I got to the point where I was just like, I'm having enough, man. Like I was just like, stuff religion, stuff God, stuff everything. I'm gonna live my life how I want to. No spiritual influence or teachers. I'm just gonna go on my independence and my like aspect of life really, and just think like I'm gonna take it as it comes. I'm gonna start working on myself, going to the gym more, start living cleanly basically. And I realised that I couldn't live cleanly because I was too engulfed by all these like demonic addictions, and at the time I didn't know it was demonic, but now I do when I look back and I realise I had a lot of demonic influences in my life, like. So I go about on that how I started actually start getting rid of them and rebuking them and stuff and whatnot, but that's going to be part 2. So I think majority of stuff that I've said I needed to say. Read over anything that I could say. I don't know, I don't want to edit this video. I can edit and stuff, but I just want to keep it natural, clean. I don't want to, even if I'm stumbling and stuttering or whatever, like I'm just going to put it how it is, because I want it to be from the heart. I don't want it to be like portraying myself in a way that's not legitimate. I just want to keep it like straight from the heart. Don't edit anything out. Not condemning anyone that does that sort of stuff on their videos, because there's a lot of good testimonies out there that I've read and watched, and it's actually inspired me to do this. So go on them as well and check out other people's testimonies, because at the end of the day, man, glory to God and glory to Jesus, and like that he opens the door for us. He really does, and I just want to say that before the end of the video that it took me a long time to realise that, and to come to the aspect of like the only way I can step away from certain aspects of my life and society's conditioning and the way I've been living, and just man, and it really helped me to sort of see truth, and a lot of aspects of it where even in the past where I'd pray to God and be like, I never really prayed in Jesus' name or anything, but I still prayed because I was like, I'd like to think myself as a spiritual person even back then, but I came to a lot of how can I put it? There's a lot of like conclusions that you just sort of like, there wasn't really a judgment day, or there was just like live life. I didn't believe in the aspect of heaven and hell until I really started to clock and noticed things about the Illuminati, and I was like, well, if there's Satan, man, I know there's Satan, I know there's demonic attacks, I know that this is all legitimate, and I was just like, what's the counteract to that? I started researching and things, and one thing that I came to, and I couldn't deny, it was the Bible, and it spoke about this, and I realised it spoke about prophecy, the mark of the beast, and I was just like, this is all in the Illuminati, man, this is all part of it, how can I deny this? How can people who dive into these conspiracy theories, and there's thousands of people do, some of it's nonsense, a lot of it is truth, and the reason why it's demonises conspiracy theory, which is a term even made by the CIA in 1967, I think it was. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that statistic, but anyway, like, it just goes to show, man, and these are in leading corporations, and I'm actually gonna, in this video, there's a video called Shadow, Awakens of the Shadows or something, or Shadows or something. I'm gonna put that in the description, and I'm hopefully you click onto that and give some sort of enlightenment about a lot of influences and demonized things, people like the Rockefellers and stuff like that. How he even admits in one of his books that he's a philanthropist. You must have heard of him, owning the banks and stuff, and all these are part of the occult. He's even wrote in one of his books, man, that admits that he's part of these world law leading organisations and whatnot. But I'm not here to talk about the Illuminati too much, just aspects of it that there's a lot of truth in it, man, like, and a lot of it does align with the Bible, and it even mentions it in the Bible as well. They'll hide in their underground bunkers and this and that, and they'll speak with they'll come basically as a light and all this and that, like, and Satan comes as a light, and a lot of these false religions do, and a lot of these people in these and Satanists do, they come, they'll offer you the world, they don't gain the world and lose your soul, because wisdom is better than silver and gold. That's not scripted, that's something else, but it's true, man. Satan did it with Jesus, and this is why all these Illuminati people, I'm not gonna throw out any names, but they all doing this all triangle stuff. I don't even want to imitate it, but in the videos, and people say, Illuminati confirm stuff. It's legit. It really is, like, it really is, but yeah, it's all a part of it as well. But anyway, it's going on for long enough, this video, so I'm gonna make another video, and actually part 2 of how I've actually started to come to Christ and what realizations for myself, and aspects of just self-realization, and what embarked me on the truth, and come to actually make this video today, and for me to actually take a step back and actually say, yeah, you know what, Jesus is my saviour, and he is, and I praise that, and this is why I'm making this message out there. And it's mad for me as well, for like to who I was, and a couple of years ago, how I was this like laddish person, go out on the lash, so to speak, and get with girls, drinking, being thug life and the rest of it, and just selling drugs and partying, going off my face and raves and stuff like this and that, like sitting in my room smoking copious amounts of cannabis and just sniffing and the rest of it. Like, I didn't mean to do it at the same time, it just happened, like, but yeah. Yeah, man, it's just, Jesus is the way, and I'm sorry that this video may not be like amazingly punctual or like articulate, and so to speak, but like I said, I didn't want to edit it all out, and just wanted to be from the heart and just be like, go with the flow and let the Holy Spirit lead me, because I am a born again, and I am being born again, and definitely I can say with 100% confidence in my heart, there's aspects of me that is dying every single day, and I'm being reborn slowly, and it's a slow growing process, just like the plants in the fields and stuff. And even when you go to sleep and that, the Satan will come along and plant weeds in your field, man, just like the parables in Matthews and whatnot. Like, one thing I do like as well is parables, man. They're quality. I love them. They're so fun to just sort of like poetry in a way. It's just like they are what they are, and I am what I am, so to speak. But yeah, man, like, thank you for listening, and I will be a part 2 just to evaluate and basically, yeah. Anyway, peace out, and thank you for listening, and part 2's coming along. Peace.